Last February, a 71-year-old woman sat across from me in my clinic. Her name was Margaret. She was sharp, active, walked 2 miles every morning, never smoked a single cigarette in her life. Her family had no history of heart disease, none. She cooked every meal at home. She hadn't touched fast food in over a decade. She did everything right. At least that's what she believed. But her lab results told a completely different story. Her C-reactive protein levels were through the roof. That's one of the key markers we use to measure inflammation inside the body. Her arterial stiffness score looked like someone 20 years older, and her LDL cholesterol, the dangerous kind, was oxidized at levels I usually see in patients with severe cardiovascular disease. I sat with her for almost an hour going through every detail of her daily routine: exercise, sleep, stress, supplements. Nothing explained what I was seeing. Then I asked her one question that changed everything. "Margaret, what do you do with your leftovers?" She looked at me like it was the strangest question a doctor had ever asked, and then she told me. Every Sunday, she cooked large batches of food for the entire week. Rice, chicken, potatoes, greens. She stored them in the fridge, and every single night, Monday through Saturday, she reheated a plate in the microwave 6 nights a week for over 15 years. That was it. That was the missing piece. I'm Dr. Arav Menon, and this is MediGentle. I've spent over 25 years in cardiovascular medicine, and what I'm about to share with you today is something most doctors simply don't have time to explain during a 15-minute appointment. But after 60, it could be the difference between a healthy heart and a silent disaster building inside your chest. There are 5 common leftover foods that, when reheated, trigger a chain reaction that leads directly to heart attacks in seniors. And the worst part, every single one of them feels perfectly safe. Stay with me. This could genuinely protect your life. Before I reveal the 5 foods, I need you to understand something critical. Your body after 60 does not process food the way it did at 35. This is not an opinion. This is biology. When you were younger, your body had an extraordinary defense system. Toxins came in, your liver neutralized them, free radicals formed, your cells crushed them. Minor inflammation sparked, your immune system shut it down before it spread. You never felt any of it. Your body handled everything quietly in the background. After 60, every single one of those systems slows down. Your liver takes longer to clear harmful compounds. Your kidneys filter less efficiently. Your immune system becomes what scientists call immunosenescent. It still works, but it's less precise. It overreacts to some threats and underreacts to others. Your arterial walls become thinner, stiffer, less able to absorb damage without consequence. And here's the part that matters most for this conversation. Your body's ability to repair DNA damage declines significantly. At 35, if a toxin damaged a strand of your DNA, repair enzymes swooped in and fixed it almost instantly. At 65, some of those repairs get missed. Mutations accumulate. And when enough mutations stack up in the wrong cells, serious problems begin. Does this mean you're broken after 60? Absolutely not. Your body is still remarkably resilient, but the margin for error shrinks. What was harmless at 40 is not harmless at 67. What your body forgave easily for decades now leaves a mark. This is why leftovers matter so much more than people realize. It's not about one reheated meal. It's about the pattern, Monday through Saturday, week after week, month after month, year after year. Tiny doses of inflammatory compounds that your younger body would have eliminated without blinking. But your body now, after 60, absorbs them, stores them, and responds to them with chronic, low-grade inflammation. And chronic inflammation is the single most dangerous process happening inside your cardiovascular system. It's the engine behind plaque buildup, arterial stiffness, blood clots, and ultimately, heart attacks. Let me show you exactly how 5 common leftovers fuel that engine. And I'll start with the one sitting in almost every refrigerator in the world right now. Number 1, reheated rice. Rice seems like the most innocent food on the planet. It's plain. It's simple. Billions of people eat it every single day. How could rice possibly trigger a heart attack? Here's how. When you cook rice, the heat kills most bacteria. But there's one specific bacterium that doesn't play by the same rules. Bacillus cereus. Its spores are heat resistant. They survive boiling. They survive cooking. They go dormant when the temperature is high and simply wait. The moment rice starts cooling down, those spores activate. They begin multiplying rapidly. And as they multiply, they release toxins. Here's the part most people get dangerously wrong. They think, I'll just reheat the rice thoroughly tomorrow. The heat will kill everything. And technically, yes, reheating does kill the bacteria, but it does not destroy the toxins those bacteria have already produced. Those toxins are heat stable. You can microwave that rice until it's volcanic hot, and the toxins are still there, still active, still ready to cause damage. In the short term, food poisoning, nausea, vomiting, cramping, unpleasant, but your body recovers. But here's what nobody tells you about the long term. When you expose your gut to these low-level toxins repeatedly, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a week over months and years, you create a state of chronic intestinal inflammation. And your gut is not an isolated system. Your gut and your heart are directly connected. Scientists call it the gut-heart axis. Inflammatory signals produced in your intestines travel through your bloodstream and reach your arterial walls. They trigger immune responses in places far from your stomach. They disrupt cholesterol metabolism. They interfere with blood pressure regulation. I've seen patients, healthy weight, non-smokers, active, no family history of heart disease, but their arteries were inflamed beyond what their profile should have predicted. And when we traced their daily habits, one pattern appeared again and again. Reheated rice, sometimes twice a day, every single day, for years. After 60, your gut lining becomes thinner and more permeable, what doctors call increased intestinal permeability. Toxins and inflammatory molecules pass through more easily. The barrier that protected you for decades is simply not as strong as it once was. Here's your MediGentle fix. Cool your rice rapidly after cooking. Get it into the refrigerator within 1 hour, maximum. Not 3 hours, not after the movie. 1 hour. Store it for no longer than 24 hours. When you reheat, do it once, thoroughly, and never reheat rice a second time, ever. Better yet, cook smaller portions so there are no leftovers at all. How long does your cooked rice sit on the counter before you put it away? Be honest with yourself. That number matters more than you think. Number 2, reheated chicken. Chicken is probably the most popular protein for seniors. Lean, affordable, easy to cook in bulk. And that's exactly the problem. People cook a week's worth of chicken on Sunday and reheat portions every night, especially in the microwave. Chicken and microwaves are a genuinely dangerous combination, and almost nobody understands why. Microwaves don't heat food evenly. They work by exciting water molecules, but the energy penetrates food in irregular patterns. This creates what food scientists call cold zones, pockets inside the meat that never reach safe temperatures during reheating. On the outside, your chicken looks perfect. Steam rising, hot to the touch. But inside, in those cold zones, bacteria are alive and thriving. The temperature in those zones sits right in what we call the danger zone, the exact range where pathogens multiply fastest. Salmonella, Campylobacter, Listeria, these are the organisms lurking in improperly reheated chicken. And Listeria is especially dangerous for people over 60. Your immune system is slower to respond. What would be a mild illness at 30 can become a hospitalization at 70. But here's the deeper issue, the one that connects directly to your heart. One episode of food poisoning is a bad day. Your body fights it and recovers. The real danger is the pattern. Repeated, low-level bacterial exposure week after week. Your immune system mobilizes every time. It releases inflammatory proteins called cytokines into your bloodstream, small amounts each time. Barely noticeable, but when this cycle repeats regularly, those cytokines circulate continuously. And what do circulating cytokines do to your cardiovascular system? They damage the endothelium. That's the delicate lining inside your blood vessels. When the endothelium is damaged, your body sends cholesterol and immune cells to patch the injury. That's how plaque begins. That's how arteries narrow. That's how blood pressure rises. That's how clots form. That's how heart attacks happen. Not from one reheated chicken breast, from the pattern, 300 reheated chicken breasts over 5 years. That's the timeline your arteries remember. I've operated on patients whose arterial damage could not be explained by their lifestyle on paper. They did everything right except this one thing. The microwave, the leftovers, the invisible accumulation. Here's your Gentle fix. If you have leftover chicken, the microwave is your worst option. Reheat in the oven at moderate temperature, wrapped in foil to ensure even heat distribution. Or eat it cold, cold chicken in a salad, on a sandwich, alongside fresh vegetables. Perfectly safe, perfectly nutritious. If you absolutely must use a microwave, cut the chicken into small, thin, uniform pieces first. Heat in short intervals, stir or rearrange between cycles, and let it rest for 2 full minutes after heating before eating. Your heart doesn't care about convenience. It cares about what reaches your bloodstream. Number 3, reheated fried foods, French fries, fried chicken, samosas, spring rolls, anything cooked in vegetable oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil. Let's be honest, you already know fried food isn't the healthiest choice, but that's not what this conversation is about. The first time you eat fried food, your body handles it reasonably well. The oil is heated once. The compounds formed during frying are manageable. Your system processes them and moves on. The danger multiplies when you reheat it. When vegetable oil is heated a second time, it undergoes a chemical breakdown called lipid oxidation. During this process, the oil releases compounds called aldehydes. Now, I want you to hear this carefully. Aldehydes are the same class of toxic compounds found in cigarette smoke. I'm not using that comparison for dramatic effect. That is the established chemistry. So what do aldehydes do once they enter your body? First, they attack your arterial walls directly. They create oxidative stress, which is essentially a storm of unstable molecules damaging the cells that line your blood vessels. Over time, this damage triggers inflammation. The walls thicken, they stiffen, they lose the elasticity they need to regulate blood pressure. For someone over 60, whose arteries are already less elastic than they were at 40, this additional stiffening is a fast track to hypertension and eventually heart attack. But aldehydes don't stop at your arteries. They're also potent free radicals. And free radicals attack DNA. They cause mutations in the genetic material inside your cells. At 35, your body's DNA repair system catches and fixes most of those mutations. At 65, the repair system is slower, less thorough. Some mutations escape detection. And when enough unrepaired mutations accumulate, the consequences can be devastating. Reheating fried food doesn't just double the aldehyde exposure. Studies show that each reheating cycle can increase aldehyde concentrations significantly beyond what was present after the first cooking. The oil degrades further with every exposure to heat. The compounds become more concentrated and more reactive. Now multiply that by every reheated fried meal you eat in a week, in a month, in a year. The numbers become alarming very quickly. Here's your Gentle fix. If you have leftover fried food, do not microwave it. Do not put it back in a pan with more oil. The best option is an oven or air fryer at moderate temperature with no added oil. The goal is gentle reheating without further oxidizing the oil that's already in the food. Or, honestly, eat it cold. Cold fried chicken is a perfectly valid meal. It's actually safer than reheated fried chicken in terms of cardiovascular chemistry. And if you're frying at home, never reuse cooking oil, ever. I know it feels wasteful, but the compounds that form in reused oil are among the most damaging substances you can voluntarily introduce into your body after 60. Your arteries will thank you. Number 4, reheated leafy greens. This one genuinely shocks people because spinach, kale, Swiss chard, these are supposed to be superfoods, the healthiest foods on the planet, and they are, when prepared correctly. The problem isn't the greens themselves. The problem is what happens after you cook them and then reheat them later. Raw leafy greens contain nitrates. These are naturally occurring compounds found in the soil and absorbed by the plant. In their original form, nitrates are largely harmless. Your body processes them efficiently. Some research even suggests they support healthy blood pressure. But when you cook spinach or kale and then let it sit, even in the refrigerator, bacteria begin converting those nitrates into nitrites. This conversion starts at room temperature and continues more slowly even when refrigerated. Now here's the critical step. When you reheat those greens, the heat causes nitrites to react with the natural proteins in the food. This reaction produces compounds called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are classified by the World Health Organization as probable human carcinogens. They are linked to stomach, esophageal, and colon cancers. That alone should make you pause. But this is a heart health conversation, so let me explain the cardiovascular side. Nitrosamines don't just affect cellular health, they trigger direct inflammation in your blood vessel walls. They damage the endothelium, that same delicate lining we've been talking about. When the endothelium is inflamed, your arteries lose their ability to dilate and contract properly. Blood flow becomes less regulated. Blood pressure becomes harder to control. The risk of clot formation increases. For someone over 60, you now have two simultaneous threats from one reheated plate of spinach. Carcinogenic exposure and cardiovascular inflammation happening at the same time. That's a combination no doctor wants to see. And the frustrating part? You're trying to do the right thing. You cook spinach because you know it's nutritious. You save leftovers because you're practical and responsible. You're not being careless, you're being efficient, but the chemistry doesn't care about your intentions. Here's your Medi Gentle fix. Cook only as much leafy greens as you'll eat in one sitting. This is the simplest and most effective rule. If you have leftovers, don't reheat them. Use them cold. Toss them into a salad. Mix them into a cold grain bowl. Add them to a sandwich wrap. And here's a detail most people miss. The speed of cooling matters enormously. Don't leave cooked greens at room temperature for even an hour before refrigerating. The nitrate to nitrite conversion accelerates most rapidly between cooking and refrigeration. Get them into the fridge within 30 minutes of cooling. Your intention was to eat healthier. I'm just helping you complete that intention safely. Eat your greens. Love your greens. Just don't reheat them. Number 5, reheated potatoes. Potatoes might be the most misunderstood food on this entire list because the danger isn't just about one thing. Reheated potatoes attack your body through two completely separate mechanisms at the same time, a double threat that almost nobody talks about. Let's start with the first mechanism, acrylamide. When starchy foods are cooked at high temperatures, a chemical reaction occurs between the natural sugars and an amino acid called asparagine. The result is a compound called acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. It's been linked to kidney cancer and several other forms of cellular disease. Here's what makes reheating so dangerous. The first time you cook a potato, acrylamide forms. That's unavoidable. But when you reheat that potato, more acrylamide forms on top of what's already there. Each reheating cycle compounds the exposure. You're not starting from zero. You're stacking layer upon layer of a classified carcinogen. After 60, your body's ability to detoxify acrylamide declines. The same dose does more damage because your clearance systems are slower. Now let's talk about the second mechanism. This one is purely cardiovascular. When you cook potatoes and then let them cool, something beneficial happens. The starch in the potato transforms into what's called resistant starch. Resistant starch behaves like fiber in your body. It feeds healthy gut bacteria. It slows glucose absorption. Your blood sugar rises gently and gradually. This is actually one of the healthiest things about cooled potatoes. But when you reheat that cooled potato, the resistant starch converts back into regular, rapidly digestible starch. Your body breaks it down quickly. Glucose floods your bloodstream. Your blood sugar spikes. Your pancreas has to release a surge of insulin to compensate. For someone over 60 with any degree of insulin resistance, and most people over 60 have some, this spike is genuinely damaging. Rapid blood sugar fluctuations create oxidative stress directly inside your arterial walls. They accelerate the stiffening and calcification of blood vessels. They contribute directly and measurably to cardiovascular disease. So, one single reheated potato is simultaneously delivering a carcinogenic compound and triggering a cardiovascular stress response. Two separate attacks, one meal. Here's your MediGentle fix. Eat potatoes cold whenever possible. I mean it. A cold potato salad dressed with extra virgin olive oil, fresh lemon juice, herbs, and a pinch of salt is genuinely one of the smartest meals you can eat after 60. The resistant starch stays intact. Your blood sugar remains stable. No additional acrylamide forms. If you want warm potatoes, cook them fresh. Low temperature, short cooking time, no added oil, simple preparation, stop reheating potatoes, start embracing the cold potato. Your blood vessels and your cells will both benefit immediately. Now, I want to step back from the individual foods and show you what I see from where I stand. When you've spent 25 years in cardiovascular medicine, you develop a very specific relationship with time. You see the end result of decisions people made years ago, decades ago. No patient arrives at a crisis because of one bad meal. They arrive because of a pattern. Every single food we discuss today, reheated rice, reheated chicken, reheated fried food, reheated greens, reheated potatoes, they all feed the same underlying monster: chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation. Here's what that looks like inside your cardiovascular system over time. Your arterial walls develop microscopic damage from oxidative stress. Your immune system sends inflammatory cells to repair that damage. Those cells accumulate, they attract cholesterol, plaque begins to form, the arteries narrow, they stiffen, blood pressure rises. The heart works harder and harder to push blood through vessels that are increasingly rigid. And then one day, a piece of that plaque ruptures, a clot forms, and the blood supply to part of your heart is cut off. That's a heart attack. And for many people, the first symptom they ever notice is the heart attack itself. Everything before that was silent, invisible, painless. The 5 foods we discussed aren't the only cause, but they are consistent contributors to the inflammatory process that makes heart attacks possible. And every single one of them is within your control to change. Starting today, let me make this simple. 5 foods, 5 Medigentle fixes: rice, cool it within 1 hour, refrigerate, use within 24 hours, reheat once only, chicken, oven with foil or eat it cold, avoid the microwave, no cold zones, no bacterial risk, fried foods, oven or air fryer at moderate temperature, no added oil, or eat cold, never reuse cooking oil, leafy greens, cook only what you'll eat now, leftovers go cold into salads, never reheat, potatoes, embrace the cold potato, olive oil, lemon, herbs, resistant starch stays intact, blood sugar stays stable. None of these changes require you to stop eating foods you love. They just ask you to think differently about timing and temperature, and these changes stack. Each one reduces your inflammatory load a little. All 5 together can reduce it significantly over weeks and months. I didn't build Medigentle to scare you. I built it to give you the information you deserve, delivered gently but honestly, so you can protect yourself and the people you love. Which of these 5 foods surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If someone you care about is over 60 and reheating these foods regularly, share this video with them, not to frighten them, to protect them. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a Medigentle conversation. Take care of your heart. Take care of yourselves. Your kitchen is one of the most powerful places in your life. Now you know how to use it. Everything shared in this video is general health information and not personal medical advice. Please consult your own physician before making any changes to your diet or health routine.